CTV's royal commentator, Afua Hagan, joining us from London. Good morning, Afua. So much to go over. Two big interviews, first with Anderson Cooper on 60 Minutes, and then another one with ITV coming out last night. What stood out to you from what Harry had to say?
Well, I think in the ITV interview, what stood out for me most is how scathing Prince Harry was about the British tabloid press. That was a theme that ran throughout the interview. He talked about the stories that they write, how they're responsible for a culture war when it comes to the royal family. You know, he really dug down on that, and he repeated it quite a lot, that he felt the British press were responsible for a lot of the rifts within the royal family. He also said that the royal family were in bed with them, that
Those
they
certain
encouraged
members
them, that if he
have
can't beat them, then join
decided to
them.
get in bed
I
with each
think
other,
what else
right?
was very prevalent
To
is the
rehabilitate,
theme of
to
grief,
rehabilitate their
of the
image.
Yeah.
grief of the
If
loss
you
of his
need
mother,
to do that,
Diana,
and you
Princess of
want to do that, and
Wales.
you choose
You
to
know,
do
he
that, well, that's your
described
choice.
when he was
That's up
in
to you.
Paris for the
But the
Rugby World
moment
Cup when he was in his
that
20s,
rehabilitation
asking his
is
driver to
at the
take him through the
detriment
tunnel
of
where
others,
she died at
me,
the same
or
speed
the
that
member of
she
my
died
family,
at 65
then
miles
that's
per
where I draw
hour,
the line.
and
I
talking
don't
about
think any
how
of it's because
surprised he
we
was that it was a short
want to
tunnel
be
and
together
pretty
and to live
indescript and
by
not
someone
somewhere where someone
had,
should have died. He
consequences
also,
for
you know,
career.
talked about, especially
Because
in
I don't
the
want to
Anderson
stereotype him,
Cooper
but typically
interview,
he was
he
guilty
talked
of much
about
of that
how
at the
he
beginning.
thought his mother wasn't
Playing
dead
an
until
American
he was in
actress,
his 20s,
right?
that
And
perhaps
that
she
was
was in
playing out
hiding,
in the British
that she would
press
come
and the
back
media
to
at
him.
the
And
time
that was
as
a
well.
theme that
So,
ran through his dreams as
the
well.
fear
I
that
think
I
grief
had
has
standing in
really
the
impacted
back of
his
my
life.
mind,
And he talked
and some
about
of the
that
things that
quite
went on there,
movingly.
and
You know,
specifically the way
especially in
that
the
he was
Anderson
acting and
Cooper interview with
behaving,
CBS,
definitely
he
felt to me
talked
as though,
quite scathingly
unfortunately, that
about
stereotyping was
Camilla,
causing a
Queen
bit of a
Consort
barrier.
Camilla, and that you know, he didn't want his father and Camilla to get married, and that they don't have a great relationship, that they're pleasant to each other, but he feels that she has certainly sold him out, that her PR team has, that she has put out negative stories about him to benefit her.
Yeah, I hear you on every point. I think your last one about Camilla did surprise many, in the fact that Harry and William at one point asked their father not to marry her. And certainly the emotional impact about the death of his mother really reshaped his life. We just heard, and I'm sure you heard them as well, those streeter interviews, people in London saying that they had a range of emotions towards Harry. Do you think the fact that, again, getting back to this whole issue around grief, made him perhaps a bit more sympathetic to those critics who were saying, please just keep this to yourself? Every family has problems. Why do you need to air your dirty laundry? Do you think he changed anyone's mind last night?
There's so much opinion out there, especially in the court of social media, but a lot of people saying that they felt a lot of sympathy, especially for the sections where he was talking about grief, talking about his mother, talking about the impact that her death, excuse me, had on his life and the trajectory of his life and how it went forward. You know, he talks of having barely any memories before being told that his mother had died. So I think a lot of people out there are finding sympathy with those points. But then a lot of other people are saying as well that the book, as well as the interviews, is airing too much dirty laundry in public, and that frankly they didn't need to know these things. But I think what we're seeing in Spare, and what I'm reading, and what people will read, those who choose to buy it, is typical of any autobiography. I think the problem is that we hold the royal family up to a different standard than we hold ourselves or our own families, and perhaps we think that they should carry on with the keep calm and carry on, never complain, never explain, which is the complete opposite of what Prince Harry is doing in this moment.
Which leads many to believe that a reconciliation is probably impossible.
And Prince Harry believes the complete opposite. You know, he said in the ITV interview and with Anderson Cooper that he would want a reconciliation. He said the ball is in the court of the royal family, and he absolutely 100% thinks that is possible. And it's clear that he wants that. He said he loves his father, he loves his brother, and he wants them back. He wants his family back, not necessarily the firm or the institution. It's not about returning to life as a working royal, but he does want to build those bridges with his family. And he 100% believes that a reconciliation is possible. Whether that is true or not, I think we'll see play out over the next few months or year.
Afua Hagan, CTV's royal commentator. Afua, thank you so much for that.